Hello and welcome to the Solid Sports and Gaming channel. You're watching the Solid Sports video blog, the SSVB episode 51. And today's date is August 25th, 2018. I'm Troy West, of course, saying thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the support. Real big episode this week. Going to really talk about some big topics here. Of course, we're going to talk baseball. Dan Murphy get traded to the Cubs. I think that's a big move for the Cubs in the National League. NBA, it was Kobe Bryant's birthday this week. Talk a little bit about Kobe. Kawhi says all in Toronto. And we'll talk about a little mental health. It was just a very interesting article about Kevin Love or ESPN. ESPN is pretty much my main source to what I go to when I want to know something or learn something. And I think that article was pretty interesting. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I get a little personal, talk about my issues with mental health as well that I've had in the past. NFL, of course, preseason have gotten started. This week is supposed to be the week, really it's almost like a real game, but some teams still sitting their starters. So I'll talk a little bit about that. I got a game pick pool. I put all the information in the description box if you want to play with me this year. Basically picking games every week from week 1 all the way to week 17. Just wins and losses. I'll explain more about it later on as well. And we'll talk about the NFC, AFC, South and North in both conferences. Just some quick questions, some quick comments about that. But first, I used to be an employee at Sinai Hospital. If you're not familiar with Baltimore, that's one of the main hospitals here. I'm on the west side of Baltimore. I actually worked there for 10 years. We had a big loss this week. A real sweet girl, Shawn Randall. She passed away this week. I just wanted to give my condolences. I basically found out on social media. It's real devastating to the Sinai family. I've been there 10 years, so I can't sit up here and say that it's not a big part of my life. That place, like I said, I lost my father there. So I got a history with Sinai Hospital, not just working, but just connecting with people. There's a lot of good people that I miss. Don't miss the job per se, but I do miss a lot of the people there. There's a lot of good people there. A lot of bad people too, just like everywhere else, but there's a lot of good people there that I miss. But before us with Shawn, I just want to say, just give my condolences to her family. I didn't know her very well. We were just co-workers for a while. But she was very nice. A quick story about her, but I'm going to remember about her. Just like I said, I lost my dad there. It was on a Monday I was working, which was a good thing. I was able to go up there, check on him, see him and stuff. So most hospitals, if you in the ICU, they limit how many people can be back there with them. It's usually only 2 people. So when I came upstairs, I'm about to get off work. I come upstairs because I was going to sit. I usually, when he would sit, I sat, for hours with him, before I went home. And then I came back in the morning and check on him and stuff. But I see my family up there, so I sort of got confused. But basically, long story short, I found out that my father wasn't going to make it. So it was I was in sort of a state of a shock. And then I had to go back downstairs to tell my bosses and stuff about what's going on. They kind of knew what was going on, but so she was in the hallway. My little sister, I just sort of kind of had a breakdown, and she just automatically just grabbed me and gave me a hug. People don't, people like that, you just tell that they genuine. She was a real genuine person. So I just wanted to give my condolences to her and to everybody at Sinai. I got you on my mind. I just hope everybody can get past this. Like I said, she was real nice to me, so I just wanted to give my own condolences. A lot of people have on social media. So I just hope everybody able to heal, and I just hope she's really rested in peace now. So just like I did for anybody that passed away. You know, this is a sports blog, so you know traditionally in sports you give a moment of silence. So I'm gonna give Sean a moment of silence before I continue my blog. All right. Okay, so we will go ahead and continue. It's hard to continue from that, but I just wanted to definitely send out my thoughts to her and her family and the Sinai family. Alright, so let's talk about baseball. Get a little bit pepped up now. Like I mentioned at the beginning, Dan Murphy to the Cubs. You know, Dan Murphy, second baseman formerly for the Washington Nationals. He got traded early this week to the Chicago Cubs. To me, I think that's a huge move for the Cubs. I think they had an injury there at second base, so that's what probably made them make this move. But his bat especially is going to help Chicago a lot. I think that sort of pushes them, to me, almost as a favorite in the National League now. I still like the Dodgers to do well. I picked the Nationals to win the World Series. I'm officially now definitely going to have to change that pick. So they're done. I don't think they're going to make it the playoffs. My Braves still hanging in there. They opened up a 3-game lead on the Phillies. The Phillies going to still be around. Talking about the Central with the Cubs, the Brewers ain't going away. The St. Louis Cardinals, man, like, they just a don't die team. To me, like I said, people probably disagree with this statement, but you know how the Spurs have dominated the NBA for basically 20 years, the Patriots for basically 20 years. I think the Cardinals of baseball is their team. Like, they've been consistent in the playoffs. They only won World Series. That's why some people probably disagree, because the Giants has won 3. There's a couple of teams that's won more than one. Boston in that span has won 3 in the 20-year span. So a lot of people would disagree with me, but I just think they've been consistent. Boston have had some last place finishes, so it's just San Francisco. I'm just talking about consistency, making the playoffs, being in contention. St. Louis is that team for the last 20 years, and they're in contention again. They fired their manager mid-season, Mike Medina. They fired him, a couple of months ago, and they still just fighting. So that's interesting to watch. In the American League, business as usual. Boston's still rolling. They over 90 wins already. Yankees still keeping a good pace. Houston got some competition there with the Oakland A's. Oakland A's are looking like they for real, man. So that's a team to watch out for. Seattle still hanging in there in the West. And the Central is pretty much all Cleveland. Everybody else is pretty much out of it. Cleveland is becoming a favorite. A lot of people started to jump on. Like I said, I want to pick Cleveland. Really, I would pick Cleveland, but it's Cleveland. Like, something always happen. So that's the only reason why they picked up to go to the World Series. So I went ahead and pick Houston again. But I want to be shocked if Cleveland got back to the World Series. But I'm going to stick with Houston for now until something drastically changes. But baseball season get interesting. Of course, it's about to be September. That's when, you know, you push for the playoffs and everything, and that's when baseball really started getting interesting to me. But like I said, I think that Daniel Murphy move is big for the Cubs. Alright, well, NBA, of course, is quiet. It's off season, so not a lot going on. It was Kobe Bryant's birthday this week. I seen it on social media. Kobe, one of my favorite players of all time. Just like, if I told my story about LeBron, it ain't that I had doubts about Kobe, but he was a high school kid coming out of high school. A little arrogant, you know, which now you see why, you know, that's why he probably was one of the greatest of all time. But, you know, a lot of people want to go back to I think it was his rookie year where they played against the Jazz, where the Jazz was still real good with Malone and Stockton. And he missed those threes, airballed those threes, but people look at it this way. At least he took them. At least he had the balls to take the shot, you know. But his coming of age for me was when they played, was it their first NBA? Yes, it was, because they played, so this is their first NBA Finals, him and Shaq, against the Indiana Pacers. I think it was game 4, and Shaq fouled out, if y'all remember, Game went to overtime. Kobe took over the game, pretty much iced the series, because they went up 3-1. Indiana won game 5, then the Lakers finished them off in game 6. But that when I realized, all right, this guy is going to be something special, and he just took off from there. and had an excellent career. Wound up winning 2 more rings after Shaq left. He just was I like players that like to compete. Like that's why I like him in a certain way. I like Phillip Rivers, even though a lot of people criticize him. He haven't been to a Super Bowl. I understand that, but he puts his all into it. I like players. Anybody like that, I love him. So that's what I like about Kobe Bryant. So happy birthday to Kobe. I think it was his 40th birthday. So makes me feel old because like I said, I'll be 35 soon. But happy birthday to Kobe. Kawhi Leonard, saying that I think it was somebody somebody made a statement or something that basically he's going to be all in this year with Toronto. He's going to play. He ain't, he's happy to be there and all that. So it look like we're going to get a 100% Kawhi Leonard. Not saying I don't think he necessarily gave up on the Spurs, but he definitely ain't want to be there. But he's putting in the effort. He said he wants to be in Toronto, so that's going to be interesting. So now I feel a little different about the Raptors now. Like they could probably compete really for real. But we'll see. Like I said, the East to me is just Boston, Philly, Toronto now, and Milwaukee is formidable, but they sort of underachieved in the regular season the last 2 seasons. But I'm expecting them to get a top 4 seed this year. Of course, we'll talk more about that. We got months to talk about it. But that's interesting. I'm glad Kawhi be all in, so that means the season will be even more and more interesting this coming year. Of course, the West is stacked now with LeBron going to the Lakers, of course. So, but that's very interesting. I wonder, like I posted a while back, in Toronto could force Kawhi to stay there. But he still said he want to go to LA, preferably the Lakers. So, but they got a year to convince him to stay. The more and more I think about it, I don't think the trade was that big of bad now. I guess they just rolling the dice. And like I said, they didn't reach the ceiling, with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry. So I think they just want to go in a different direction. And I think they want to start rebuilding. So the Raptors will be interesting next year. And so will the rest East and the rest of the NBA, period. Should be interesting. Like I said, speaking of interesting, like I said, ESPN is like my number one source for my sports, for my news and everything. I do watch like Fox Sports 1, other outlets, the Bleacher Report, other little small outlets as well. But ESPN is my main source I go to for anything I want to know. And it was an interesting article. I still got to read most of it. I skimmed through it a little bit. About Kevin Love, he had a anxiety attack during the season last year. Jackie McMullen, great woman columnist out of Boston. They should work for the Boston Globe, I want to say. She wrote the article, and it was interesting. Kevin Love, like I said, basically had an anxiety attack last year. He went into real deep detail. Basically, had a panic attack. And he was open about it. I think that's good to be open about it, especially an athlete. Because imagine, most athletes got a lot of pressure under them, pressure to perform. And Kevin Love in particular, he got a big contract. He was getting criticized in the media, always coming up in trade talks. No matter how good or bad Cleveland was doing, he was always, he could do more. Despite him hitting big shots at times, getting big rebounds at times for the Cavaliers, it still wasn't enough. He had to adjust his game for LeBron, Kyrie when he was there. Sometimes I felt like, he maybe could have played a little bit better, but I think he was doing what he came there to do. Be the third guy, rebound, hit timely threes and shots. But now it's going to be interesting. Cleveland's going to be an interesting team with him. See if he go back to the Minnesota Kevin Love, the main guy, and the pieces around him. I think they could make the playoffs, honestly, in the East, in the bottom half. So, in my opinion. But we'll see what kind of year he's had. But I wanted to touch on it. It was interesting to me because I've dealt with mental health, as y'all know. I've been open about my depression. And I don't really suffer from anxiety. I do sometimes. I get paranoid sometimes out the blue. I admit that. Like I said, it affects my self-esteem. My self-esteem, I admit, it's kind of low. I just don't feel like I fit in nowhere. I feel so different. I feel out of place, and been struggling for that for years. Like I said, lately it's been better because I've been working again and try to get my mind back right. But even this week, I had like 2 episodes, really just yesterday. So I'm still struggling with it. But a lot of people was debating like Will Kane and somebody I listened to on the radio or ESPN radio. They was debating yesterday. Well, should that be a part of your like medical report? Well, like for us athletes, like should you have access to that? Like basically, well, I'm gonna put it in my perspective. Like basically, I lost my job because of it. And I'm not bitter because of it. I just the way they went about it, it upset me. But at the same time, at the end of the day, if you look at any business, if you're not there, they're gonna find somebody to replace you. Period. No matter what the reason is, they're gonna try to replace you. So he was saying, well, it's a sensitive topic, which it is. You don't want to really. I ain't gonna say I don't like talking about it. I feel more comfortable talking about it, but I don't feel that comfortable talking about it even right now. Talking about my depression and my self-esteem and all that stuff. But I kind of get his point. Like he was saying, basically, they just need to know so before they give you a big contract, because they don't want to invest in you and then maybe you ain't available as they want you to be. I kind of get that. I mean, it's a touchy subject. I mean, I'm on the fence about it. Like, I feel like that is private. I feel like you shouldn't have to talk about that unless you don't want to, unless you want to be open about it. It's a touchy subject, but I kind of get his point. Like your employer should know everything about you so they can maybe prepare, not necessarily to fire you or get rid of you, but to have a backup plan just in case, you can't, function or you can't make it that day or, but it's an underrated problem I think in this country, man. Like that's why I think, like I said, once I get more established, I want to be an advocate for mental health, for depression, just people that feel like they don't have a voice, because that's basically was my issue. Because when I talk about it, people just go to, well, you being negative. I get that it upsets me. Are you being negative, or you need this, you need that? Like, not, but then they, people say, well, speak what's on your mind. Then when you do, you being negative, you being this, you being that, and they don't want to listen to you. So it makes you don't want to talk at all. So, at least that's how I feel. Like that's why sometimes I don't say anything. I just hold it in, which is not good. But at the same time, you can't get it out because nobody's willing to listen. I mean, they got people professionally willing to listen, but like to me, and like I said, I still want to do that. It's a lot of things I haven't done, like seeing a real therapist and stuff like that. I still want to do those things. But your so-called people that care and all that, you don't, just to be honest, you don't, I'm not saying they don't care, but they don't want to deal with it. So you gotta deal with it on your own, in your own way. But like I said, I have my struggles still to this day, but I'm pushing, I'm trying. But like I said, I do want to give those people a voice that don't have one, including myself, and when I get more established, that's one of my goals in life. Despite any career I might go into or whatever, I want to be an advocate for that, for depression and mental health, period, because people do get looked upon like a stigma, and I think that's wrong in my opinion. So, but I just wanted to talk about that because that's real interesting that you see athletes, not just Kevin Love, DeMar DeRozan has talked about his problems with mental health. About Ron Artest, he actually was an advocate for that. Like I said, I think, not basically what I do right now, I deal with people with mental health, so it's a problem, but I don't think you should be treated the way you're treated overall, so that's just my thing, and hopefully I can change the narrative on that one day. So it was just interesting. I just wanted to talk about it. I had something to talk about, because other than that, there was not a lot to talk about in the NBA. But I commend any athlete that be honest about it. It gives me, makes me feel better. Like, well, even though I understand, they issues, because they got a lot of pressure on them to, perform for their team. And Kevin Love was getting questioned, like, did you quit? You quit on us, So I know that had to bother him too. So, but they just didn't understand what he was dealing with at the time. So, but I think this started was an interesting topic, and I wanted to get personal a little bit about it. So that's it for the NBA topics for the week. NFL, of course, preseason games, week 3, usually the big week. The dress rehearsal, the real, not real games. Really not a lot. I watched I'm blessed at a few games. What is it, Saturday? So Thursday night, I think they had Washington. The Redskins was on. What was that last night? No, that was last night. Thursday night they had Philadelphia and Cleveland. Yeah, that was a snooze fest. But both teams' defenses look good. But the Eagles, they got some concerns. They offense, they first unit don't look good at all. Well, the whole offense just look bad, really, really bad going into the season. And then most of their starters probably don't play next week. The Browns, I was impressed with their defense, just running all around, making plays. The Eagles got a good defense as well. But Tyrod Taylor got a little, I think he dislocated his thumb or his pinky finger on his non-throwing hand. So that's sort of a relief. But a lot of people criticize the coach, Hugh Jackson, for putting him even back in the game. They should have just sat him the rest of the game. They got him, slated to start. Like I said, the Eagles, they don't look good right now. Last night, like I said, they had the Redskins on. They was playing against who Washington played. Yes, the Denver Broncos. Denver offense looked a little sharp. Adrian Peterson played yesterday. He looked pretty good. I know Detroit and Tampa Bay was on. I didn't watch that much of that game. I think it got delayed. And then actually I was on here doing some things for the channel, so I was sort of flicking back and forth, but I didn't really see a lot of that game. But there was a lot of points though. But Detroit, an interesting team this year. Well, both of those teams. Can Detroit break through and get past Minnesota and Green Bay? And Tampa got their issues off the field with Jameis. And they just in a tough division with Atlanta, New Orleans, and Carolina, which we're going to touch on that next. Actually, right now, I might as well start with the NFC South. Like I said, I just talked about Tampa. Like I said, that's the big question. Can Jameis come back? But he's looked sharp in practice and preseason, so maybe he'll come back and redeem himself. I still probably got the finishers near the bottom. I really like New Orleans. The only question about New Orleans to me is, can the defense repeat what they did last year? Mark Ingram, how big of a loss would that be as he's out the first 4 days? And Alvin Kamara carry the running game while he's out. Carolina, Cam really is about Cam. Will he have a monster? If you do, they'll be in contention. If you don't, they won't be. And Atlanta, pretty steady team. Really like as well. Of course, Matt Ryan, can he continue to play well? That'll be the issue for the Falcons. I was about to say the Hawks. But that's a real tough division. So it's the AFC South. Jacksonville, of course, the question is, can Blake Bortles play well? Really, they basically saying if he plays well, they a Super Bowl contender, which I believe they are if he turns the corner. Tennessee, got a nice little young team. Can Mariota take the next step? They was a playoff team last year. Can they repeat what they did last year in this tough division? Houston, of course, Deshaun Watson. How will he come back from his injury? J.J. Watt as well. How good would that defense be? And the Colts, same thing with Luck. He's looked up and down during the preseason. Can he come back? But other than that, they don't have a lot of talent with the coach. So can he elevate them again like he had his first 3 years in the league? Let's go to the North Divisions. Let's go back to the NFC. We just talked about Detroit, the Lions. Like I said, can they Matthew Stafford lift them over Minnesota and Green Bay? The Bears, I think they still sort of rebuilding. Can Mitchell Trubisky, excuse me, keep developing? I like their running back core of Howard and Cohen. But they got a young team, so I don't expect them. I expect them to finish at the bottom. But I think if we see, hopefully we'll see an improvement from them this year. I just talked about Detroit. Minnesota, of course, they got Kirk Cousins now. He's looked up and down in the preseason. That defense, basically, can Kirk Cousins get them one step closer to a Super Bowl title? The NFC is stacked overall this year, so we'll see about that. At Green Bay, of course, Aaron Rodgers. Howard is off his fair. Really not a lot of great talent. They still got Randall Cobb. Jimmy Graham has been added. Let's see what kind of year he has. But other than that, not a lot of talent at receiver or in the backfield. The defense, of course, still is a big question mark as well for the Packers. And let's go to the AFC North. Of course, I'm a Ravens fan, so I start with them. Like I said, maybe it's my fandom. I got a good feeling about the Ravens this year. I think Flacco is finally woken up. He looks sharp overall in this preseason. Preseason don't mean a lot though. We'll see in the regular season, but I think he really feel like he's being pushed for his job. So that maybe got a spark in him. Can the defense continue to be the staple of the Ravens? But it's all about the Steelers, Pittsburgh Steelers. But they got a lot of questions. Will Le'Veon Bell even be there for week 1? Most likely he will. He's just not going to probably come till after the training camp. Of course, Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger got some injury questions as well. But their defense is a big question mark as well. Cleveland, talked a little bit about them already. Young team. I like the talent that they have. Can they make an improvement? Well, it'll be easy because they ain't win no games last year. They'll win a game. I can guarantee you that they'll win at least a game this year. But they got a tough schedule as well. So, as long as they improve, I think Hugh Jackson will be fine. I think I've been hearing people say he on the high seat if they don't do well this year. And we missing somebody. We got Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cleveland, Cincinnati Bengals. There we go. Bengals, I don't know. I mean, I like AJ Green, Joe Mixon. They got a nice little, they're not a bad team. It's just like how you say about Cleveland or somebody else. Just hits that ceiling all the time. But they, I would say they're sort of a sleeper. I think they have a chance to make the playoffs. But something always happen there. Marvin Lewis still there. So we'll see how good they do this year. But I'm going to do a real big preview show within the next 2 weeks. The Sunday before the season, I'm going to do a real huge preview of the NFL season. Well, it depends. It might be a Saturday. It depends on if I work or not. If I don't work that Sunday, then it'll be that Sunday. If not, it'll be before that. I probably have to do it that Friday when I'm off. But I'm going to, just like I did last year, go through all 32 teams, give you all of my division winners, my Super Bowl 53 prediction, all that. So a big preview, so look out for that in the next few weeks. Other than that, I just wanted to say, yeah, I was about to talk about my pool, my game pick pool. Is that the first thing you have to do is download the ESPN app, or the fantasy app, actually. And the little trophy symbol, that's the Pigskin Pick'em. I got a room open there. I'm gonna put everything in the description box, the password and the room name and all that. So if you want to play this year, I'll put it in the description about the next few weeks. I'll do that. So we can play together. Maybe I might try to give away a prize or something, but ain't nobody joined me last year, so I say at least if at least 5 people join, then I put some type of prize up, either money or maybe a game giveaway or something. I'll come up with something, but I gotta get 5 of you to join first. So I'll be pushing that the next few weeks. If you join my pool and you outpick me, and then you'll win something from me. So, but I gotta get at least 5 of you in. You know, if it's less than 5 people, then I'm not doing it. So definitely check that out. I put everything in the description box when I edit the video. But that's it. We're pretty much done. Final thoughts. I want to touch on that. Well, both situations in college football. College football, of course, starts next Saturday. Well, I think next Thursday, I believe. I know Saturday will be some big games next week, but the Urban Meyer situation and Maryland football situation with Durkin. Meyer, a lot of people, you know, criticizing, you know, the punishment. He only got 3 games. A lot of people thought he should have been fired. Me, honestly, I just think the suspension should be long. I don't think he probably should have been fired per se. I think the suspension probably should have been longer, probably maybe about 8 games, like half the season or something, just to send a message. Because you a leader of men, and young men supposed to look up to you, supposed to set the example. And I hear a lot of people also say, well, why they criticizing Urban Meyer so much is how can you be the coach and do something like that if one of the students did that, they get expelled, get kicked off the team, have to scrap and fight, you know, to get back on another team, a lower team or something. So they basically, their career could always be almost ruined, you know. So I agree with that premise of it. Like, I don't think, you know, students should get, or like I said, you gotta hold the coaches to a higher standard. So with that being said, I think the game should have just been longer. But firing him, I don't think necessarily had to fire him. It's a bad situation. Domestic violence is another underrated problem in this country. But he dropped the ball, and he should be responsible for it. That was your guy, regardless of this relationship with his granddad or whatever. Like, he tried to take care of this guy. This guy kept going wrong. He had to get rid of this guy. So that's why I think the suspicion should be longer. But him get fired, I mean, I wouldn't have been like, oh, you know, wouldn't have cried a river for him if he got fired. But I don't think he needed to get fired per se. I just think the game should have been longer. 3 games is not enough to send a message, I don't think. And then there's really no big games in the first 3 weeks, you know, for Ohio State. So as far as the Maryland situation, I just think that coach, he gonna wind up getting fired. I just think there's no way he could come back either. Regardless, like I said, of the situation, he was responsible. And then the kid that passed away, his parents came out and said he should be fired. So that's, to me, that was a nail in the coffin to me. And they went all over TV and said that it'd be hard if they Maryland bring him back. I'd be shocked if he comes back. But I think they're still investigating. So I think they say September 15th. So we may get some type of answer. But I would be shocked if he stayed on. And the way that Maryland president looked in the eyes of people in that camera, I think he was sincere. I think he's gonna fire him. I don't think he's gonna hold on to him. So just wanted to get my 2 cents on those 2 situations. There's been 2 big stories in the sports world the last few weeks as well. But other than that, that's it, everyone. Episode 51 is concluded. Have a great weekend. Supposed to be nice weather-wise here on the East Coast or wherever you are in the country. Enjoy yourself. Once again, rest in peace, Sean. You will be missed. And shout out to my Sinai family. Shout out to our man Mel. Fantasy football. We did a draft this week. I try to give like my fantasy. I try to do some fantasy talk too during the week once the season starts. The War Room, right here. It's on our ESPN fantasy app. So that should be fun this year. Paying for a little bit of money this year. So I finished at least 3rd in all my leagues I ever played in, and I really just started like 3 or 4 years ago. I haven't played for years. I'm still sort of, I don't say a rookie, but I just really started playing. But he's pretty good too. It's his league. Me and him finished. He beat me last year in the Super Bowl. So what to say? Shout out to my man Mel. Derek, where you was at, man? I know you probably watched it. Where you was at the draft, man? So hopefully you doing good, bro. My man Don Juan, of course, always been my brother. But that'll do it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Check out all my other projects on my channel. God of War, 20XX. I did one live yesterday. Even though ain't nobody come in there and join me, but that was cool. So everybody that's supportive, I want to thank you guys. 1K Yellow Diamond, I almost forgot about her. I put her page in the icon box, the information box. She gave me a big shout out this week on one of her channels, one of her videos. But she had multiple channels too, so just look her up, check her out. She got a gaming channel, she got a AMSR channel, she got a whole lot of different channels. She got a channel I know, but she do pranks and stuff with her sons and stuff, so she's real entertaining. So check her out, and I thank her again for her shout out, so I'm giving you one back. And I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much.